like you said, you're going in 1 day a week, training. I remember doing that for the longest. I did 2 days a week, maybe 3. And I thought if I did 3, that was a lot for me, but I did 1 or 2. And sometimes I'd miss a couple weeks, and I was like, why am I not learning anything? Like, it's not fucking sinking in. And of course, jujitsu just takes a really long time to learn anyways. There's so much to it, and it's like a different language, and it's so technical and intricate.
Welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody? This is Dante with another episode of Off the Mats podcast, and welcome back, everyone. Thanks for being here. This week, my guest is someone who I've felt like I've had to pester to be a guest on the show for the longest time, and she was just like, no, she was politely declining. And then one day I just kind of jokingly said, hey, if you're a guest ever on my show one day, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, holy shit, she said it. She's going to do it. So my guest for this episode is a good friend. Her name is Christina, and she trains out of North Side BJJ Jitsu and Muay Thai. And we're just going to have a friendly discussion about jiu-jitsu, basically her jiu-jitsu background, and you know how we talk here on this podcast. Just we're probably going to end up talking about comic books at some point because I have a very, very weird attention span, but that's how we rock and roll. So welcome to the show, Christina. How are you?
Hey, I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Getting over a little bit of a cold from the weekend, so my voice might sound a little bizarre, but nothing to be too concerned with. I'm okay. It's not COVID for sure.
Well, I can't get COVID from you from here, so we're good. It's okay.
I don't know. We don't know things. We don't know things about COVID.
You're right. We don't know. It could be that 5G COVID. You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking right now. Next thing you know, tomorrow you're like, I don't feel good. Like, God damn it, Dante.
My voice is raspy right now from the fight last night, so we're good. We were talking about this, that we hate the sounds of our voices. So mine's extra weird right now.
So doing podcasting with Nerd Rage, Why So Nerdy, all these other podcasts that I've worked with and been a guest on, I always hate hearing my voice. Mm-hmm. Then when I started Off the Mats, I did an episode 0, as I called it, which was a 20-minute piece of me just explaining what I wanted to do. And I listened. I didn't like my voice any more or any better, but it was like, all right, I can tolerate it because I'm going to have to. And now I don't even acknowledge my voice. I just like, it's there. So anyone who ever comes on, they're like, oh, I hate my voice. I'm like, hey, just do it this way. If I say, hey, so we got to end early, yeah, you should probably hate your voice because I'm probably not liking it either. But
I told you, I love your voice. I love, like, when you do the instructionals, I love the way you teach. I love your tone and your tempo. I love your voice.
If there were a video for this, I would be blushing. Thank you. I don't know. I'm just always, my buddy, we recorded our other show, Columpton Social Club. Check that out, y'all. New episode tomorrow. But we recorded last night, and after we got done, my buddy was like, dude, I hate my voice. It's nasally, but you got a phone sex voice. I was like, dude, don't ever, as another man, tell me that I have a phone sex voice. Got really, really awkward. Man, he had on sunglasses because he got a black eye from playing volleyball. So it was like, no, it was like, I don't want to make eye contact with you. This is fucking weird. Because I don't know what you're thinking about now.
Right.
But yeah, with the fights last night, I saw you were posting pictures and videos to your stories and went live. So
that was my first live story. I learned how to do that last night, and I was so excited. But yeah,
I was really So I saw the alert come up saying that you had gone live, and I was like, "What?" Like, okay. Like I clicked on it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's intentional." Because sometimes people go live on accident. I've done it plenty of times.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
like I, I've never seen anything
I'm
that I've
surprised that hasn't
seen.
happened to me in the worst possible moment, like on the toilet or singing in the shower. I don't know. Like I can imagine myself doing something like that.
I've gone live, just like mess with the camera, trying to figure out, oh, does this thing work? And then it's going
Is
live.
this?
But I think you have to like push the button a couple times to confirm that you want to go live. I think.
Mhm.
I think I've only gone live intentionally once at the DC Open when the IBJJF came out here to Maryland. It's funny, it's the DC Open, but it was in Maryland. Fucking weirdos. But that's the only time I've intentionally gone live, because I was like, oh, BJJ Wiki was still new, and I was like, maybe I should do this. This is what people, they'll like this, and I guess it was weird. Like a bunch of people looked, and I didn't even have good footage. It was just me walking around being nervous and weird. But yeah, I saw you went live, and I was like, I don't know if that's intentional, but let me go ahead and check it out, because you had never gone live before. So
Mm-mm.
most people that I see go live are people that are being, they're promoting like a show or a podcast, or sometimes they're people just working out, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I don't fucking watch you work out. Like,
That blows my mind what people think. I don't know. Maybe some people are interested in that. I guess it depends on who's working out, because
yeah, well, yeah. Like, I'm not watching dudes work out, but there's some people I follow, if they're working, I'm like, oh.
Last night, interestingly enough, so I went to the fight, and some people were actually trying to get it on pay-per-view, but they were having problems ordering the fight with payment processing and stuff. So everyone was like, stream it, go live. And I'm like, I don't know how. Like, I have no idea even what that is. And so someone coached me through it, another teammate. And I managed to figure it out and go live. And it was a lot of fun. I was pretending to like be a broadcaster or whatever. And but it was hard because I was so excited. Like I don't know. There's something about watching a teammate compete that is almost like the adrenaline rush that you get from competing yourself. Like it's so fucking intense. And I had to apologize at least once for the shoddy footage because I was just shaking. I had a hard time holding the camera because I was so excited, and it was so hard to watch on the screen and not look away from the screen at the cage so that I could see. But I would find myself tilting the camera. So it was a total act of love for the rest of my team to take that that live stream for them. But I was so glad that I was able to. It was a really special fight, and it was Father's Day, which is the weirdest day to have a fight. So a lot of people couldn't make it. Yeah, it was amazing. I love that. It's so much more fun though, that adrenaline rush, when it's not your own, like fighting for your life. I think, I don't know, there's definitely some sick enjoyment to that, but it's much more fun if it's a teammate, for sure.
Well, I always get nervous when my teammates are, whether it's in the cage or at a tournament or anything. Mm-hmm. I get nervous as if it's me going up there, and I don't know, but I enjoyed. I'm always in favor of supporting the team and just wanting to be there. Yeah, and it could, because that means a lot.
Yeah, it does so much.
So I'm glad you were able to make it to that, and it looks like your teammate won.
Yes.
So that that's good too.
Face down rear naked choke, which was legit. Good.
Yeah. I mean, you get stuck in that. Yeah, just it ain't no coming back.
It was so good.
So with you train in jiu-jitsu. When did that all come about for you, and why did you get into jiu-jitsu?
So I'll start from the beginning. I actually used to love MMA like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. They didn't have very many fights, maybe once a month, and they were only UFC. They were only pay-per-view. And so I went to every single one. We would always go to Hooters or Buffalo Wild Wings. And one time we went to this little bar called Rusty's, and this gym was there. It was called Undisputed. And they were doing a giveaway or like a raffle. You know, you put your name in, you whatever, and then they draw somebody for a free 1 month membership. And so I put my name in, and, you know, it was the general manager and this really cute girl. And I ended up winning the 1 month membership. So I go, and I've always been into martial arts and just always a tomboy, just grew up playing with the boys and still playing with the boys. But so I went in for striking though. I didn't even go in for jujitsu. So I went in and I started boxing and I started kickboxing, and Josh Hinger was actually, he worked there. He taught kickboxing and also jujitsu. And so, like, I don't know, we just built this great relationship from kickboxing, really, from striking. And his girlfriend at the time also worked there, and she did jujitsu and striking, and I just loved her. But so Josh and I did some PTs, kickboxing, and so about 6 months in, he finally talked me into doing jujitsu. And I did, I think, 3 privates with him, and I just had so much fun. He is like, oh God, he's just one of the most fun people to learn from. You always see this like really intense, crazy competitor, but he's hilarious, and he just made jiu-jitsu so fun. I was so I look back at those PTs and I remember I didn't even know how to close my guard. So my legs are like wide open, and I'm just like, I have no idea what to do. And he was just, I think if it were anyone else that I didn't know, I never would have come back to jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's just so embarrassing looking back, like thinking back to those beginning moments. But yeah. And then his girlfriend, other than him, his girlfriend was the first person that I ever rolled with before even a class. And she was probably, oh my gosh, like 100 pounds. She was tiny. And she fucked me up, like fucked me up for 5 minutes straight. And it just made me love it even more. And all I knew, remind you, is that like all I knew about jiu-jitsu was from MMA. That's it. So at one point she had triangled me, and I picked her up off the ground, and I was gonna slam her, and they both are like, no. Both her and Josh at the same time. And then she's like, no slamming in jiu-jitsu. There's no slamming. And I was like, oh my God. So I set her down nicely, and then she proceeded to fuck me up, you know, more. But yeah, I couldn't even, and I was in really good shape. But we did 3 rounds, and I could not even walk the next day. I was so sore. It is like a completely new level of training for me. But then I still wasn't ready to go into class. I mean, it took this long. So he finally talked me into sitting on the edge of the mat for a class. So we had this bag, you know, one of those long, just a long body bag. Sure. And I sat on the edge, and I sat and I just watched the class, and finally they called me. The whole class like called me onto the mat to come in and take the class. And so I crawled out there, and I took it. I finally took it, and I started ditching striking so that I could come to jiu-jitsu. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. And then I was just in love, like absolutely in love.
Well, jiu-jitsu's better anyway, so you made the right choice. I'm biased, but whatever.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Really cool. It's intimidating when you look at it from the outside, just when anyone's trying to convince you, or when I'm trying to convince anyone to get into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I try to explain it to people, and they're
So
like,
hard.
yeah, it's like I don't know how to explain it to people in a way that's comforting. So it's like, I don't know. Like we get on the mat. I mean, I could break someone's arm. I could probably shred somebody's knee, maybe choke them. And they're like, "This, you're not making it sound fun." Well, but it is. It's lots of fun. Like, it doesn't sound it. So, but I'm glad that you were able to, the path that you took, get in there. It was at a pace that worked for you, and here you are now, and you got promoted to blue belt. I wanted to get you on here like right after you got promoted.
I know. Oh my God.
Well, it's still close enough. So congrats.
And for the record, I was not just dodging you. I was so nervous. And but yeah, finally one day you asked me, and I was feeling brave that day, and I was like, all right, let's do it. But yeah, it's taken us a while.
Well, and I know when I initially asked you, you're kind of like, nah, I don't. I mean, you mentioned you were nervous. You're like, I don't feel comfortable. And I was like, that's fine. That's fine. But you did say maybe another time.
Yeah. So, like, I kept my mind open. Yeah. For sure.
So I appreciate
say never. That's definite.
Yes. So yeah, I'm glad that eventually, you're like, yeah, let's do it. So, thanks for that, because
I'm so happy.
Like, I do this, like I always tell people, I like to talk to people, and it's exhausting sometimes, dealing with people, but I do love hearing stories. I love to hear, why you got into jiu-jitsu. I love hearing your first experiences, in jiu-jitsu. I just love hearing all this stuff, and also, just comparing it with my own experiences, which it seems like a lot of times is very similar to my own path. So I'm like, okay, I think we all kind of, go down the same route. So we're all family.
How long ago did you start doing your journey? How long did you?
I think 2016, I believe. I just started. I was at a job I didn't like very much. No, actually, I loved the job. I just couldn't manage with the staff. There was a lot of static, and a buddy called me and was like, "Hey, I got this job. You should come check it out." And I was like, "Dude, I can't just go to another job. I have a job right now." And my wife was like, "Why don't you call out, go see about this other job, and if you like it, then stay with it." I was like, "That's kind of fucked up, but okay." So I did that, and it was kind of like everything just changed over at that time in my life. Like, I'd start this new job. So as soon as I start the new job, later that week, I had tried jiu-jitsu. I might have done a trial with a friend 2 years prior, but I wasn't really crazy about that gym. But
that makes like all the difference. It 100%, no matter what happens, like, I don't know, you're going to either walk in and feel the chemistry. It's like anything else. It's like any other relationship. You're going to walk in that gym, and I feel like within minutes, you're going to know if that's the gym for you or not. Yep. And because there's just that electricity, I feel like, that comes from a really special place. And there's, everyone needs something different. But it's so important.
That first gym I went into, I don't think it's a bad gym. I just don't think that was the gym for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up, not hanging out there. A couple years later, when I went through this changeover with jobs and just, newly married and just life was in a different place, I decided to give it one more shot and ended up at what was then called Ivy League MMA. And just from that point, really start to embrace it and just I wanted to learn. I needed to learn. So, and I could only go once a week because my work schedule, I work 12:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. So I could only go in on Saturday mornings for class. And at that time I wasn't really gaining a lot, but I was really athletic. And, I'm coming off of, playing football and basketball. I'm lifting weights all the time and running all the time. So I was in shape, but jiu-jitsu shape is a different kind of shape.
Yeah, it's so different.
Yeah. They beat the shit out of me. I remember I tried to tackle someone like it was football, and he made me he beat the shit out of me basically. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I won't do that again. But, it clearly wasn't that bad because I came back and I enjoyed it. And that entire group, it's family,
How much do you train now? Like now that you guys are back from COVID and everything?
So now that we're back from COVID, I am going Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I work one-on-one with a friend on Sundays. So, but then I looked at, since our ownership has changed, we're now part of a group of schools. And they have another one. I'm in between two schools. So I'm 15 minutes.
So that's 5 or 6 days, 6 days a week?
Awesome. 5
days.
Looking at their schedule for the other gym, they have a Monday evening class. So I might start going to that and just go six days. It depends. Right now, my family life, they're like, hey, you need to taper back. I know you're happy to be back, but
yeah,
we're here, remember. So right now I'm actually gonna kind of pull back and just do a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the next month or so. My knee has been really bothering me, and just my daughter, she's been if she sees me grab my gym bag in the morning before work, she goes, "You're going to jiu-jitsu?" Like, yeah, baby. Oh, again?
That's tough. That's it's hard to juggle a family and stuff. And it's really hard to find that magic number of, training days that will balance with your life and with your goals. Like you said, you're going in 1 day a week, training. I remember doing that for the longest. I did 2 days a week, maybe 3. And I thought if I did 3, that was a lot for me, but I did 1 or 2. And sometimes I'd miss a couple weeks, and I was like, why am I not learning anything? It's not fucking sinking in. And of course, jiu-jitsu just takes a really long time to learn anyways. There's so much to it, and it's like a different language, and it's so technical and intricate. But so the best thing for me, I don't know, I didn't realize how important the amount of days I trained a week was, because as soon as I signed up for competition, I was training 6 to 7 days a week. And in 1 month, my jiu-jitsu grew more than it did in 2 years, or like a year or whatever of training 2 days a week because of that repetition. Sometimes I was doing two classes a day. And I loved it. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, my professor he did a 10 a.m. and a 6 p.m. and he would do basically almost teach the same class. So I knew I could get that same class twice a day. Plus he would build off of it in the evening class. And it finally clicked. It all started making sense. But it's hard. I kept that right there, that clickage, like, is so addictive, and it makes it really hard not to just want more and more and more and be afraid to, to lose that. But you have to juggle your family, and job and stuff like that. It is, man, it's hard. But
there are some days at work because I work Saturdays. There's a Saturday morning class. There's some Saturdays if I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to go in and train. I'll say to my coworker, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna head over and train for a couple hours. Is that okay? Like, yeah. And the way that I kind of play it off is like, all right, when I come back, I'll bring back lunch, and if you want to check out early for the day, whatever. Yeah, yeah. I'm doing everything in my power. Like, even though she's gonna say yes regardless, but I still feel guilty. But at this point, even talking with my wife about it, she was like, even if you do, let's say you could do 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then every so often hop in on a Friday for no-gi or stop in on a Monday for the advanced class. Because we also have because right now I'm doing our fundamentals class for each of those days. I can't stay for the mastery class because it starts at 8. My wife works at night, so I have to be home so she can get to work. She has to leave by 8:30. So I used to bring my daughter and we stay late, but that routine started getting exhausting because we get out at 9. Yeah, like we get out at 9:30, and you stick around for about 10-15 minutes just bullshitting. Then there's a 15-minute car ride home. Then we still got to do the routine, get home, do a story, go potty, brush teeth, do a, quiet songs, and then, sing a lullaby. And, by the time that hits, it's 11:15, and, and my daughter will wake up at 7 on the dot. No matter what time she goes to sleep, she's waking up at 7, ready to rock and roll. So, I might try to every so often get to the night class, but at this point I'm just sticking with the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. In the Wednesday class is morning. That's 11:30 a.m. So because I'm off on Wednesdays, but it for me, that the importance of having your training be consistent, where like when I go in on Tuesday, we're doing no gi. But what we do in no gi translates then to that Wednesday morning class in the gi. And then when I come back Thursday evening to train gi again, it's those 3 classes all kind of interconnect. So having that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I love that style of curriculum and teaching. That's it. It's nice. I don't know. Our no-gi is really good, but it's run by someone completely different. But yeah, I remember taking a class that's like that. They just kind of built off things, and then I like how they do, because I have a problem with that. I have a problem with no-gi, and it's because, and that's how I started, because at Undisputed, Josh, he only taught no-gi. There was no gi. I didn't know for like 2 months that you actually did jujitsu in a gi. I had no idea for like the first 2 months I trained, until they, him and a friend of his that was, I want to say, Josh was a brown belt and this other guy was a purple belt. And they did like almost like a mock competition style training. And so we just kind of like sat around and we're all in our no-gi stuff. And I was blown away that you even did it in a gi. Like I had absolutely no clue. And so they did like this competition style where they did 3 rounds. And it was just like the most intense thing I'd ever seen. Like goosebumps all over. They just went so hard. And it looks so cool. But even with starting no-gi, I started as soon as I finally decided to put on a gi, which that took me forever too. I never thought I'd put on a gi. I love no-gi. It took me forever. I just fought it. I was like, fuck that. It's too many clothes. I don't want to wear it. I feel like I'm choking myself out with my own lapel. I just hated everything about it. I bought the cheapest gi I could possibly find because I knew it was going to go in the trash. Like, I just didn't want to do it. But then I put it on, and the first time I hated it. The second time I was like, well, it's not that bad. And then the third time I loved it, and I just started doing a lot more gi. So going back to no gi was so hard for me because after getting used to the grips.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like if I do both consecutively, and we have that style of teaching where we're learning the stuff both in gi and no gi and doing them on a regular basis, then I have a really easy time going back and forth. But if I stop doing no gi for like a month and only do gi, like I fuck myself over in the end because I can't, it's really hard for me to get back to it and get used to not having the grips. I feel like I'm climbing a rock wall and there's no little handles,
Yeah.
It's stressful. But if I even throw in one no gi class a week, I'm good to go. Yeah, I love both.
So when you compete, do you do just gi, or do you do both?
Both. Yes.
Okay. When you started, or right before you got your blue belt, obviously you're a white belt. You were competing then. How much competing had you done? Prior to getting your blue belt, were you?
I only did one competition ever. And that was at white belt. And that was in November. Yes. And I competed gi and no gi.
Okay.
And I won both. It was Jiu-Jitsu World League Phoenix, and I took double gold. And then I really didn't feel like thank you. I really didn't feel like I was ready for my blue. I loved being a white belt. I'm so playful and silly on the mat. And I just loved it. I loved just having fun and really not, there's like zero expectations of you. You can go into other gyms. You can, it's just, I don't know. I just loved it. But my professor was like, you're ready. And I'm like, I'm not ready. And I kind of thought I thought I was going to do PANS 2021 as a white belt still. And he's like, I can't hang on to you anymore as a white belt. And so it was a surprise. I did end up getting it early. And I was, very, very happy. And then so I signed up for Jiu-Jitsu World League as a white belt in May that just passed. But I had to change to blue, which was fine. But I was going to compete brand new blue at 28 days blue belt. I was so excited, actually. I really, really just wanted to go in and see how I was going to do. And I signed up for gi and no gi. But then they postponed it. They pushed it out 2 months because they were hoping to dodge the COVID restrictions. And they did. But I ended up injured. So... yeah, it's such, and actually I was going to compete up until the last week. I had a double tear to my ACL, and I was still going to compete, but they ended up having to change the brackets, and I just couldn't go way up in weight. They wanted me to go up to 178 and above to stay in masters, or to adult and 154 and above. And I'm like 135 to 140 with a double tear to my ACL, which I ended up having surgery. So 3 days before I finally said, they messaged me, asking if I could change my bracket. And I was just like, everything's telling me not to do it. It was really, really hard because I just wanted to compete so bad. Like, I didn't want to fucking let it go. And, I think the week before too, 2 weeks before, I had gotten sick. So I just hadn't been able to train And I finally just said, you know what, just take me out. This is just not the one. Everything is telling me to pull out, and I just have to listen for once, which I don't do very often. Sometimes I just don't listen to the universe and bad things happen, but I did. And I got to watch my team compete, and that was a lot of fun, but it was hard. Yeah, I don't know.
I remember when you told me that you had surgery, or you were going to have surgery. I was like, wow, really? Like, in my mind, I was just like, wow, you just, started, you just started competing. You just got your blue belt, everything's kind of, you got that momentum behind you. And you're like, nope, I'm having surgery, and, I'm going to be out of commission. It's like, well, damn, dude, that sucks.
Yeah. I really, really wanted to do Master Worlds at the end of the year. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to have those plans and goals, and then, have an unexpected injury take you out. But it's part of the process. I remember when they told me that they were going to postpone World League, and I was competing all the time. I was really excited. And for some people, some people said, oh, it's just more time to get ready. But in jiu-jitsu, that's not sometimes the way it works. It's like, it could work that way, but my weight was good. Everything was just perfect. But sometimes just the cards, man, they fall in a different direction than you want them to. But yeah, well, I look forward to getting back to it. After I tore my bicep tendon, and that was really hard. I was out for a while. I did my physical therapy, and I came back just so ready. I just so excited, and just more passionate about jiu-jitsu than ever before. So I think that the same thing will happen. And I don't know, you've been with me through the emotional roller coaster of it too. I don't know, I've had my highs and my lows with it, where I'm, just in a bad place, and I just am upset, and I don't want to be injured. I don't want to be, I don't know. I don't want to be missing out, on all these things, but they pass, and then inspiration comes again, and hope and stuff. And it's just part of it. And I realize it all passes.
For your recovery, do you have an idea of when you think you might be at least able to get back out there, slowly kind of moving a little bit?
Yeah, at 4 months post-op, I can go back and drill with safe partners, higher belts, probably smaller people. I'll probably work privately with people until I'm ready to do a class, which maybe at about 5 months, and see how I do. I am so lucky. I just, I go to a lot of the different Aries gyms, and they've all just become so much like family. And I've had people just reach out and offer, basically give me free PT, sessions, and a gi to come back, to jiu-jitsu in. And I've just had so much love. And so I'm going to just really try and take advantage of it. And, I don't know, I'm just so unbelievably grateful. I have so much love in my heart for just my extended team and my just my home team. I don't know, it's really, really special. So I'm going to try. It's really hard for me. It's really hard for me to want to, be obedient, but I'm going to try. I actually originally told my professor, don't let me come back until 6 months, because that was the original date. But he said he could clear me at 4 months because my surgery went so well. If I do my physical therapy, my rehab, 4 months. And I got to put my foot on the mat the other day, just 1 foot. And I literally almost had an orgasm. I went in to go get a champion's patch. They got new patches in, and just the smell and the feel of the gym. And then, I sat on the bench, and I I kicked a flip flop off and like put my toes on my foot on the mat. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so hard. I want to come back right now. I almost cried on top of it too. It's emotional. I can't wait.
Jiu-jitsu, martial arts, period. It's special and it has a just a pull on a lot of us. So that's not shocking. I've not had any major injuries. I don't think they're majors. I'm also stubborn and I don't listen. So I might be all fucked up and I just keep going back and getting hurt more.
Well, dude, I mean, that's what you do. Like, just do it and just keep getting hurt until it's so bad that, I mean, you have to, go to those lengths. But it's not, a lot of times they do heal.
When I separated my rib, the doctor told me 2 weeks. And the way that I felt, I was like, dude, I don't think this is 2 weeks. And as much as I wanted it to be 2 weeks, I was like, this isn't a 2-week injury. It was 6 weeks. And I skipped out on jiu-jitsu and decided, all right, well, let me go do some Muay Thai. Which, it was fine. It wasn't
Muay Thai.
It wasn't too rough on my rib, but I probably should have just sat out completely. And maybe I would have been ready in 4 weeks instead of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But injuries, they're tough. Like this is a sport where, it's, if you go through this without getting injured, it's almost kind of like, are you even really trying? And I know there's some people that will preach and say, we can do this without tearing our bodies up. And I'm sure we can. But I don't know. I don't know.
I think now I think that there's always going to be the chance that, I mean, you can get hurt, but I do see a huge influx of injuries when you train at like a competitive level. It's obviously like so much different. It's so much harder on your body. You're not allowing for as much recovery. You're doing stuff like cutting weight and not like you're depriving your body of like the resources it needs to build itself back up and heal, and you hear people say, oh, I always get hurt like the week before before a competition. And it's because we're going so hard, you know what I mean? Like, and I like to go hard. I like, I love training with men. Love it. I do absolutely. There's a few women that I really, really love to train with. They're friends and they're fun to train with, but that's different. But competition style training, I prefer to train with men. Unless I have another woman that is also training competitively. It's just so different. And it's interesting you talk about the ribs, but that's the only injury that I've actually caused to somebody is just from the pressure. I tore the cartilage between her ribs and I felt so horrible. And I wasn't even going very hard, but it scares me with smaller people. So if I ever have somebody that doesn't feel comfortable rolling with me, I'm okay with it. I get it. I have a hard time rolling with people smaller than me. I'm clumsy as fuck. Like I'm definitely not the graceful swan that some other women ended up being. I am like blunt force, elbows in the face. I will probably post on your dick and knee you in the balls and, give you a black eye in the length of time. And it's not intentional. It's just, again, I'm just so clumsy.
Well, I mean, that's the game though, too.
Yeah, it is, and that's the other thing is when people do it to me or they're rough or the pressure, it doesn't bother me at all. I actually like it. I like it a lot because I feel like it gets me conditioned for that. I don't like the idea of like hovering and stuff like that and being careful and I laugh a lot, I giggle and I play a lot on the mat. I talk a lot of shit, like a lot of shit. And I do make it fun. I do make it fun. But I mean, when you get to that place where you're training competitively, the injuries are going to come more so than if you're training for fun. Because if you look at the tradition, like a typical women's class, that's just women, you rarely see very many injuries in them. If you look at a class, you know, because they're more inclined to take care of each other, be careful, you know, stuff like that. And then if you go to these competition team training classes, ask them how many of them have had an injury or surgery. And, you know, but again, when you get to that level, you don't care that you signed up for that. You know, so I really do think that there is a way to do jujitsu safely for the most part. But yeah, I don't know.
It's funny because I now say I'm a hobbyist. You know, I'll compete again, I'm sure. But for me, it's just, I love jiu-jitsu. And there was a brief window during all this COVID chaos where I started to question if I want to continue with jiu-jitsu moving forward.
I want to know how many people felt like this, because I did that too. And I've done this with this injury, where you have that moment where you're like, do I want to do it anymore? Is it worth it? Like all those guessings. I don't know.
There was a lot in my mind during that time where I was like, I think I'm done with jiu-jitsu. But I don't know that it was jiu-jitsu that I was done with as much as it was just the situation and the terms at the time. But obviously, yeah. I stuck around, so here I am.
Yeah.
So when you started competing, what was that like? You know, your first competition, getting out there on the mat.
Man, I don't even know how to describe it. I had the hardest time. Gosh, I had the hardest time even just cutting weight for that. And so I was just really, really stressed out. There was a lot of fear. Actually, the night before, I was heavy, and I'm never heavy. I you know, signed up for a weight that I walk around at, so I didn't have to cut weight. But the stress of it was just making me, I don't know, it just made it harder to lose the weight. So the night before, I actually didn't even set my alarm for the next day, because I'm like, I'm heavy, I'm not going to make it, I can't shed this weight. And but I woke up on my own at 4:00 in the morning, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm getting in the bathtub. I did all the stuff, and you know, I managed to cut enough weight. So really all I was thinking about up until that time was, how am I going to get this weight off? How am I even going to get to competing? You know, I wasn't even thinking about the actual competition itself, which was almost, I don't know, kind of a different beast. But I remember I was in the bullpen. We were in the bullpen for 2 hours because they just had I know, it was a disaster. It was the first World League after, competition. So it was interesting though, because we were in there for so long that I started talking to the people I was going to compete with. And my professor's like, don't talk to them. Stop it. You don't want to like them. You cannot talk to them. Don't get to know your opponents. And I'm like, but why? You know, we're so bored. And we were just like having the best time talking to each other. It was sitting on the concrete. There was no like mat or anything. It was like straight concrete. You start warming up, you think you're on in 15 minutes, and you know, 15 minutes turns into an hour, and you're like, what is going on? And then they're telling them we're running 2 hours behind, but we're stuck in the bullpen. What else do you really do? You know what I mean? So finally, as we get to the bullpen, we've been sitting for so long, and you know, we get out I get out on the mat, and I was shaking just so bad. I can't even explain it. And I just, oh my gosh. And my first match, I finally get out there, and I was shaking so bad even before they said to go. I didn't know anything. I wish they would have given me like what to do in a competition, as far as, you obviously know to bow when you go out there, but shaking the ref's hand and and, you know, your opponent and I don't know, just more information, because I felt like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm going to do something wrong. I'm going to, you know, like break the rules or the etiquette, you know, so when they finally said go, we started, and then I felt something hit my leg, and I was like, what the hell? And like somebody had thrown a beanbag at me, and it hit me in the leg, and not even like 15 seconds in, it was his nogi, and we were tied up, you know what I mean? And then so they told us to stop, and I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I got disqualified in like 15 seconds flat. How did that happen? Oh my God. And I'm just like, why? And well, what happened was the computer froze, so everything shut down, and they had to reboot it. And so we're standing there and we're just looking at each other, and they finally tell us what's going on. Nothing's wrong. So we have to stand there. Like the adrenaline is just coursing through my veins, and I had to just stand there and do nothing and just wait to go again. It was the worst. And then at the end of the day, you know, what happened is when they rebooted the computer, we were on the wrong side. So it actually, even though I won my matches, they had me as losing and taking silver, because when it came back up, I was on the wrong side of the mat. And, you know, yeah, on the screen basically. So, oh man, it was kind of a nightmare, but yeah. And then, again, we start again. And it wasn't my original, or, you know, it was an old professor actually that coached me. And the first thing he said was, well, what do you want to do? Like, what takedowns are you good at? I was like, my single leg is okay. But my nogi takedowns just aren't that great. And, my arm drag and my single leg are pretty decent. And he's like, okay, just whatever you do, if you do the single leg, don't leave your head out. And I was like, okay, done, heard. And what do I fucking do? The first thing I do is I go for the single leg and I put my head on the outside. And she, you know, we fall to the ground. She almost guillotines me. And I'm like, oh my God. So this is like number 2 big mistake. You know, I'm thinking, what is going on here? And but then I was like, fuck this. I'm not going out like this. Like, and yeah, I ended up coming back and winning that match, and then winning the next. But man, it is something else. It is something that you just cannot describe to somebody. You know, it's like you're literally being scared for your life, you know, but not that you're in the threat of death, but that feeling of just like panic. Yeah. I don't know. How is it for you?
Very similar.
Yeah.
Very, very similar. I stepped on that mat. We got delayed. I think the competition that I did down the street from my house, not very well organized. So people were signing up still day of. So the brackets were getting adjusted and match times were getting pushed back. So we were supposed to go on at 1. We ended up going on at 3. But, you know, no warning or anything. You know, we're sitting there kind of still waiting. I was like, you know, I'm going to head over to the bathroom. I got to pee. I'm at the bathroom. I'm like 10 feet from the bathroom door, and I hear my name on the loudspeaker. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, well, all right, let me run all the way back around. You know, I get there. I was like, hey, I'm here. All right, cool. You're getting on the mat right now. I was like, fuck. All right, cool. Shaking like a leaf. I just couldn't contain it. I got out there, and I mean, I didn't know what the fuck to do. Like, I still look back at that video, and I'm like, ugh, I would beat the shit out of me back then too. Like, fuck that guy. But I went for a takedown. You know, I had no knowledge of anything because, you know, I'd never done any takedowns at that point. I was just like, I don't know what the fuck to do. So I tried to, you know, shoot a double leg, which was still extremely new to me. he sprawled, but not very heavy. So we popped back up. Then he ended up getting the takedown on me. So he gets his 2 points. And in the midst of all this scrambling, he gets my back, but he doesn't get hooks. So he does get his points for those. He goes for a bow and arrow. And something. I'm kind of tough to choke because I have a weird squatty neck. So people trying to choke me, like my teammates now always curse me. I was like, dude, I hate your neck. I'm like, well, fuck you too. But my coach, he screams out, Dante, don't you fucking tap. And I give him a thumbs up, and the guy let go of the bow and arrow. And basically I just rolled into side control on him and got 3 points and won 3-2. It's a very shitty match. Very uneventful.
Yeah, you know what? And you said like with the video, like the one cool thing about World League, I will say, because I've said kind of like not some good things about them, and or not so much about them in itself, but the way the competition was run. But they actually take videos of you, which is really cool. So you can go on afterwards and watch your matches. But
that's really cool.
Yeah, they have them like, I don't know.
It's a lot better than Dante's shaky arm recording. Like,
yes, I know.
And then I just stopped paying attention to the recording, and I'm watching the match, and then now my arm is like just aim at the mat itself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know, like competing is a weird thing for me. I'm not crazy about it, but I don't hate it. It's just one of those things where it's like, it does something different for me. It does something weird to me. And I feel really, really like aggressive and just not me. When I'm in that mindset, it's like, fuck everybody.
Yeah, well, I see what you're saying. Like, well, and that's the interesting thing is I'm one of the nicest people ever. I'm like just so nice. I'm genuinely so kind to everyone I meet. And but the thing actually that is interesting that I have just fell in love with, and I just want more, is that, like I said, I'm really playful and kind of, just playful on the mat. And I'll roll hard, but I don't know. There's just a lightheartedness sometimes about it that makes me feel like I'm not that great at jujitsu, because I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. But when I step on the mat, as I don't know, horrifying as it feels at first, it is electrifying. And my jujitsu is so good, and I am so much tougher. Like something happens to me in competition. And the other thing that I found, which is super interesting, and I think why I like it, is when I go to other gyms, I kind of feel the same thing. I'm way more focused. There's something about a little bit more adrenaline, like feeling a little bit uncomfortable, like being on high alert, I get the lecture from my professor every single time I go somewhere else to another Aries gym to be on my best behavior. He's like, be on your best behavior, like behave yourself, watch your language, make sure you're wearing a rash guard. And there's just feel, because I have the tendency just to like maybe misbehave a little bit and, just like be a little bit too lighthearted and playful. But if I go to another gym, I'm just laser focused. And my jujitsu just gets so much better because of that focus, and because I'm not too comfortable and I'm like a jokester, you know what I mean? And I'm like the one that like gets in trouble for talking in class, and
we share that in common.
Yeah, we're drilling or something, and and then I'm like, hey, do you want to see this other variation of this that I learned? And it's like completely not what, it's just, I don't know what comes over me, because I know I'm not supposed to do it, but I get excited about it. I'm never doing it to like disrespect, but I'll be like, hey, like, you want to learn this little trick? But I need to just like do it like my professor says, you know what I mean? Again, it's never, ever out of disrespect. It's literally because I have ADD like a motherfucker. and I'm just like off, in my own little world, like a butterfly. And
Yeah,
but I don't do that
we're
when I
similar
go.
in that way.
Yeah. So I started going to competition team trainings in Phoenix and like at other Aries gyms. And like, I just love it so much. And then also, I feel like when you get too comfortable with your partners and they know what you're going to do, they know what you're learning, you know what they're going to do, and what they're, we're all learning the same thing. So we're all learning the defense to that exact same thing, obviously, and so what I found, and I discovered this in competition too, that they don't know what I'm going to do. So I started feeling defeated, because I was the only woman training during like even the beginning of when people were coming back from COVID, probably till recently, maybe a couple months ago. I was like the only woman. And so everyone was bigger and stronger than me and learning the same stuff. And I felt defeated. I felt like I wasn't getting any better. I felt like my jujitsu sucked. And like, I didn't know what was wrong with me. So I started going and looking. I started going to other open mats and other competition team trainings. I started looking for other women, especially my size, like occasionally. And I just needed it to gauge like where I was at. But I went other places and I started kicking ass and I was learning, and, it inspired me all over again. And, some people, they feel, like I don't know, maybe like somebody is a traitor if they go to other gyms, like you should only train in your own gym. You shouldn't go anywhere else. You're being unloyal, but I am a social creature and I am a free spirit and I'm like very adventurous. So I got the combination of that and, just being able to train with different types of people. And I started growing because I started like actually believing in myself, like believing that, oh my gosh, my jujitsu is pretty good. Like I just have to, just get out there and explore. And I don't know, it's been really, really interesting. But that for me is why I want more of the competition, is because I really don't know how good my jujitsu is until I step out of like the box of my home sometimes. And then I always come back home though, being like, yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be back. And I always come back home, but I do like to explore. And, having the ability to do that within the Aries gyms is really cool. We're always safe. I usually train for free. Anywhere else I go, especially if you're traveling, they're really, really hospitable, like really hospitable.
Yeah.
Do you have an affiliation or is yours? I don't know.
Crazy 88 is, we have 3 locations out here in Maryland. We're part of the Team Lloyd Irving school out here in Camp Springs, Maryland. So I guess, that's our affiliation, is Team Lloyd Irving. But I've bounced between our Crazy 88 location in Severna Park and Elkridge because, again, I'm in between both those places. Both locations are 15 minutes from me, either direction. So, and there's an Owens Mills location, which is probably about an hour from me. So I've never really gone out that far and trained with that group. But since the new ownership has, kind of gone into effect, going over to the Elkridge location is very new to me. So when I train with those teammates, it's all very, very, they're all different. So it is like, a lot of those individuals that I train with over there, or at least during the morning class, if there's a blue belt, they're getting ready for a competition. So it's fun getting to work with, just different training partners that, even though you're all learning the same thing to some degree, it's still good to know that, okay, I can try to work this now on this individual, because when you work with the same, 4 or 5 people, right, they know your patterns. Early on in jiu-jitsu, I realized I didn't know jiu-jitsu. I just knew patterns, because when I was only going to that Saturday morning class, I knew everyone's pattern. So I felt like, oh man, I'm beating the shit out of all these dudes. But it wasn't that I knew jiu-jitsu. It's just that I knew their tendencies. And one of the guys, when I started going to the Wednesday morning class, because at my gym prior, we also had a Wednesday morning class I was going to, and same deal. I learned all their patterns, so I was stuffing everybody. One guy left for a little while, trained somewhere else, came back and beat the shit out of me. And I was like, wait, like, how is this possible? Like, I've been, training and getting better. And then I realized, no, I don't know jiu-jitsu. I just know tendencies. And I beat you to where you need to be. But
that's like jiu-jitsu, though, isn't it? Like, in a sense.
So it is
so much like the anticipation of what somebody is going to do. Like, that's
but
good.
If I know everything that you're going to do, it's like playing a video game on easy, where I played this level so many times. I know your moves before you know them, versus if I'm going against someone from another gym, and yes, we are, same skill level. I might know what you're going to do, but you might do it slightly different. So now I have to adjust, versus everyone in my gym. It's like, okay, I know everything you're going to do. I know your strengths, your weaknesses. I have a beat on you now. I know that, this guy is good with certain chokes. I know to avoid those. I know that I'm stronger than him. So I'm going to have to make my strength a bigger problem for him to make him, to take away his focus on the chokes. But this one teammate, he came back and he was just he was not known for, using lapel chokes. And sure enough, I wasn't expecting it from him. So, I went in there and got choked like almost nonstop by this guy. And that, again, that's when I realized it's not that I knew jiu-jitsu, because if I knew jiu-jitsu, I would have been able to handle him throwing those chokes at me. Instead, I was expecting him to move a certain way, and he stopped moving that way. And I was like, okay. And my brain didn't process the fact that he's doing something that one of the other guys does, because, it's kind of all similar. But to me, it was just like, no, you don't do that. You do this. And that's the only way I can beat you, is if you do this. So after I made that discovery, I started taking it to a different level with my training and really studying and paying attention to things.
Becoming more technical.
Yeah.
Yep. The actual.
So, and now that kind of carries over now to training between the two gyms, where I get to, again, see different looks from people. And, I might have to deal with someone that's, 15 pounds heavier than me, or I might have to deal with someone that's smaller but faster. It's okay. Not a problem. I know my game, and I'm going to work within my game, but I make the adjustments to handle your game as well. So, it's jiu-jitsu, though. That's how we learn it. Prior to training, had you ever been in any physical altercation, like a bar fight or anything? I guess that's kind of a bar fight is, kind of extreme, but just a cat fight of any sort, period.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because growing up, I got into several fights, and they are always because of my brother. My brother was such a troublemaker, and still, I just don't fight for myself, but it was always just like trying to protect him, and he was always in trouble. But, and, women, well, girls, and even still women, I had problems with being bullied at school. Like, they were so cruel. And, I think that's the other reason why I gravitated towards boys. I mean, I like boy sports better, but the girls were just mean. And, I don't know. So I remember at one point I got jumped by like a bunch of people that my brother had gotten in a fight with this girl's brother. And then she got in a fight with him. I don't know. It was just a bunch of drama. And then so I got jumped in, like, I want to say it was like 8th grade, maybe 7th grade. And by like a bunch of people. And I somehow walked out of that like unscathed. And, these other 2 chicks came to school the next day, and they were fucked up, and I don't remember anything. I don't even know. I think that's the interesting thing about, I don't know, adrenaline is just something happens where it's just all a blur. But and then just later in life, you know, I don't know. It's again, most of them were like drunken fights. You know what I mean? Because I used to drink a lot, and I was not a good drunk at all. But yeah, I don't know. How about you?
Lots.
You seem like really? You do not seem like at all like the type would ever get in a fight.
There's a saying, my buddy said it once, and I heard it somewhere else. And it's something to the effect of, you will never understand the violence that it took for me to become this gentle. And growing up, I saw a lot of unfortunate stuff as a kid. When I went into foster care, the family was wonderful. Just great family. I'm still in contact with them to this day. And, everything was fine there. Then when my grandparents adopted me, I left Flint, Michigan and moved to Newark, Delaware. And I never realized as a kid that I grew up in a hostile environment. It just seemed like normal everyday life to me. So when I got to Delaware, it was like letting the caged animal out. And just everything set me off. I was getting into fights every day. Just whether it be with, my neighbor, one of the kids I went to school with, whether it be with someone in school, someone on the bus.
The bus, man.
Yeah.
I am so glad my kids don't ride a bus.
Yeah, the bus is a bizarre battlefield.
It's like, yeah, it's.
I don't know. Like I never liked the bus. I remember always wanted to have my grandparents drop me off at school, or my school was pretty far away. I was willing to walk to school. I didn't care. I just hated the bus, or I ride someone else's bus. I just didn't like my bus. I don't know. And that's the thing is on my bus though. It's like it's not like anyone could beat me on that bus. Like I was definitely the alpha, but I didn't like feeling that way. I didn't like being. There was like part of me that I kind of embraced being that guy, but there was another part of me, like during those times, like I was a kid that even though I'm getting into fights and I'm aggressive, I'm going home and I'm listening to Amy Grant and Sade and Vanessa Williams CDs in my bedroom while playing video games. Like it's really like just bizarre because if you ask me, I'm walking around, I got a mean mug on, but you ask me what I'm playing in my Walkman, I'm listening to Paula Abdul. It's like that's fucking weird. Like okay, but
I think that just makes you like multi-dimensional. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm definitely multi-something. Well, and that's the thing. Even before, when I go to training, on my way in, when I'm driving in, I'm listening to some kind of calming music. Because I feel like whenever I listen to anything like heavy, I go in not aggressive, but unable to focus. Versus if I go in listening to something soft, I feel like I'm in a better mood. I just feel calm. When
you're training or when you're, I don't know. I think that there has to be like a balance. I agree with that. I have only been to one gym where they played like a heavy metal thing during an open mat. And I was like, fuck this place. I don't ever want to come back. Like, I just don't like that kind of music. I don't like angry music. It stresses me out. I'm already like a high strung person. And I do like more of like a Zen type of, I mean, it's comforting for me, but if it's too chill, I don't think that I could come up to a level where I needed to be to compete. Like, I think on both extremes, it would be a detriment to me, but something in the middle. What's your favorite kind of music? Like, what do you listen to the most?
It's very tough because and it's the cliche, I like everything, but no, it is true.
Yeah, me too. Like everything from opera to gangster rap.
Mm-hmm. There'll be like lately I've been listening to a lot of 70s R&B. Just a lot
I've
of
been
Marvin
into
Gaye.
do you ever listen to EDM? I'm
Not
so into
really.
EDM right now, and I don't know, like the
It,
electronic music. And I used to be kind of like into the rave scene in Vegas, but like so it's kind of coming back around. But it's just there's not too many words, which sounds like really silly, but it's just like all like beat and rhythm and tempo and like energy. I don't know. I just love it so much, and it's really good for me. I'm like on the way to training or on the way back home. Like I love it. It's so good. And
I can see that.
yeah, and but I did have one professor a while ago. He played this like almost like a meditative music, like Tibetan gong music type thing. And it literally made you feel like you were one with your partner. Like it was really interesting. I don't know, it slowed me down. And it definitely music totally controls the tempo of an open mat. I went to one also where at Aries East Mesa, and they have an island vibe. A lot of Pacific Islanders there, and they had like reggae on. I was like, whoa! So that open mat was like just chill and funny. Like they were a lot of fun. And then we play like kind of a mix, I guess, of like top 40s. He plays some electronica and occasionally. The only thing I don't like that, like I don't know, sometimes he'll get in a weird mood and play some like 80s rock, and I'm like, what I can't roll to 80s rock. Like you need to change the station.
My coach will play depending on his mood, he'd either come in and put on DMX or Michael Jackson.
Yes, I'm so down with either of those.
It was funny because I think he put on a Michael Jackson station, and one of my teammates and I, we're going to war. This dude and I, like it was just a battle, and then Whitney Houston comes on. I can't remember the song, but it was a very, very melodic love song. And
oh no!
I looked at him because he was in my half guard. I looked and I was like, I'm not doing this with you right now, dude.
This is what happens with the 80s rock sometimes. Yes. And I'm like, no, you got to stop it. We cannot even do it. Like, I cannot even take this seriously right now.
On Sundays, since it's just me and my one friend, I'll just come in a mood, whatever it may be that morning. I might say I want to listen to Bjork. I'm like, I'm going to put on Bjork. You don't like Bjork? That sucks for you, buddy. Like, I'm doing this for free, so you're going to listen to my music today. Or I put on Portishead, or I'll come in and say I want to listen to Gwen Stefani. Then 1 week I says to him, I go, what do you want to listen to, dude? I'm going to let you pick the music today. He goes, I'm okay with anything. I was like, no. You tell me what you want to listen to. He was like, I don't know. I listen to a lot of trap music. I was like, all right, so you really don't care, do you? All right, well, and like I go to my phone. I was like, I don't know what the fuck to put on. Like, you give me an artist. And he was like, I don't know. I was like, all right, well, fuck it. Gwen Stefani it is. We're like, it's going to be two dudes in here. We're going to be rolling to Gwen Stefani Sweet Escape over and over on repeat. It was very awkward, but he should have made a choice.
Well, that's funny. I don't know. You know what I want to do? Actually, like I have all these fun ideas that I need to propose to my professor. But I want to do one where it is like a party, like dance music with a DJ, and then like with the black light, and we all wear white geese and have like the paint. You know what I mean? Like the neon, like splatter paint. I want to do that so bad. I'll bet like he might let me do something like that. But I also want to do like a plain clothes type of that, you know what I mean? Where we're all like in the clothes, like clothes you walk around in or whatever. And I want to do one like that. I want to have like theme open mats.
I feel stuff like that is important.
You know what I mean? Not like all the time, but maybe like 2 times a year or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that would be so badass, and it would just be just something different, and I'm all about that. Like, and that's the cool thing. Like, our team is so tight. We have like the best team there. It's just so great. We've become like family, and I don't know. I'm kind of like the person that maybe because I'm a mom, I don't know too. You know what I mean? Like, I just like want everyone to be like this big family. I love doing something. Like, I'm a planner. I like to plan stuff, plan events, plan our trips, like plan going to Phoenix and stuff like that. I make people who like go. Sometimes I go alone, but I'll try and take people like, let's go, bond on an adventure on a road trip or whatnot. Like, I just love it so much. And with all of these trips and all these competitions we do, and all of these, like I went to Nashville with some people from Phoenix, and it's just like so fun to bond like that and do really, I don't know, interesting things together, like memories, you know what I mean? And it's so special. So
I think team building is important. And that's, I think when teams do that though, go out and bond and have events together, it makes the team stronger. And I say that, as a person on the outside looking in, I've never been part of, gatherings like that, even with my current team.
Start it. Be the pioneer. So Crazy 88, they are that way. But before we weren't, we were loosely affiliated with them, but we weren't part of them. So, they do tons of events and get-togethers, and I'm like, dude, that's really cool. And I'm very shy. I'm extremely reserved, and I might say some wild things, but believe it or not, I am very shy. You are until we get to know you. Until I get to know you.
Yeah, it's like, so whenever I do go over and train at our Elkridge location, even though now it's starting to feel like home, I'm still very I go directly to the jiu-jitsu mat. I don't even go near the Muay Thai mats. I don't go near the ring. I don't even look in that direction. I just go straight to where I need to go. Then I feel at home. So I still don't really know the team like that over there. But, knowing that they do things like this, like we have a couple fighters in the UFC and the CFFC that, when they, have matches, they all get together at the gym. They put the fights on the big screen. And they watch it as a team. Unfortunately, my wife works nights, so I just can't get out to those events. So it's like, dude, that sucks. But I would really love to, be a part of that with them because, like I said, I wanted to be there to cheer the team on, but also just that family atmosphere is very important.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know. Like, I wonder how many people would participate. Maybe I'll do that for like a North Side thing. Like, how many people would participate in something? I know that people would love it. I'm really good at getting getting things together and inspiring people to want to come, or just downright telling them that they're fucking coming whether they want to or not. But
well, that's an important thing though too, because it's like if you have the energy where you're like, because that's what it kind of takes is like if I were to walk in the room and say, hey, you guys want to go on a road trip, that's so low energy, nobody's gonna. If you come in you're like, hey, I got this idea.
Yes.
Like, you guys want to you got the energy going with it, and you're convinced. So they're going to be convinced and they're going to want to be into it because you're energetic. Whereas if you come in and again, you're just like, hey, so I'm thinking maybe we should do this. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that with you. You're weird. Look, listen to yourself. You have a monotone. Yeah. Go away, buddy. But, when you come in with that energy, which you have that energy where I could see that, you want to like, hey, I have this idea. Let's do an open mat where we have the black lights going and we got the neon. We're gonna do cosmic jiu-jitsu. It's like, holy shit, that's a fucking great idea. Let's go do it.
I know. I think I'm just gonna tell. See, that's the other thing is I just tell people like this is what's gonna happen. But usually, I don't really have any bad ideas. Well, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, though. Like for something like that, it's usually a lot of fun. I know.
But that again, the atmosphere is important. That morale is very important.
Mm-hmm.
In when you have a team that no one communicates and everybody kind of goes off and does their own thing, you're disjointed and it doesn't feel like a team. And it's not fun. So
yeah,
and that's why I stayed at my gym, is because I was like, okay, I can see where this is going.
Well, I'm all about the bonding thing, but honestly, if jujitsu weren't fun, again, I never would have. If Josh didn't make jujitsu so fun, I wouldn't have kept going. You know what I mean? I would have just stopped. Even when striking and stuff like that, it has to be fun for me. If it's not fun, I'm out. It has to be fun. And so for me, I feel like that's 90% of what people want, is to have fun. There's another 10% that's I want to come, I want to be laser focused. I'm here to learn jujitsu. That is it. I don't want to, and that's okay. More of a militant style. But I don't even say 10%, you know what I mean? I'd say maybe 2% of our gym is like that. You know what I mean? If even that. I mean, because eventually you warm up and you have fun and you want to come back. But I feel like that's what 99% of the people want. I know my percentages are just all over the fucking place right now, but I'm sticking with 99% now because I like that number better. But
Optimism.
want to really just have fun. You know what I mean? Maybe we come in for different reasons. We want to learn to defend ourselves, or we want to lose weight, or we want to, I don't know, have a sexier bod, whatever it is.
My body's gotten less sexy with jiu-jitsu. If you see my hands, and
yes, now my hands are they were never pretty in the beginning though, so that's fine. Well,
I'm definitely not going to be a hand model anytime soon.
No, for sure. But
when we started getting back to training after COVID, I did come back to my gym almost like a new student, very shy, because there are a lot of new faces. We had a lot of new signups during the time where we had limited classes, and I was like, well, I can only go once a week. And then once I started going more, I started seeing a whole lot of new faces. So I would come in very shy, I bow, walk onto the mat, and I just kind of sit off to the side. Then we get lined up. I'm one of the higher belts in the class, so I'm at the front. But, I'm still, carrying myself look, I'm just a dude. I'm not here. I'm just here to fucking learn some jiu-jitsu. Don't fuck with me. Don't bother me. And then as time kind of started going on, I started feeling comfortable again. Now I come in there and I'm not obnoxious, but I'm jokey. I'm laughing. I'm pranking with everybody again. And it feels like it's my gym again. I feel like I'm home again. So
that feeling of being home, you nailed it.
Yeah, it's important. I think just jiu-jitsu is home. Home is jiu-jitsu. However, I don't know what sense that makes, but that's what it is to me. When I get there, I feel like I'm at home and I'm comfortable. So,
and that's how your gym should feel. We were talking about that too. If you go, if you're not happy, I don't know, explore and find that place where that chemistry is. Because if you don't walk in there and it feels like home, not that it's necessarily a bad place. It just might not be the place for you. There is a place for everyone. And life is too short to be somewhere where you're not really, really, really happy. Because,
absolutely.
I found, I'm so glad. I don't know. It took me some exploring, and it took gyms shutting down, and one door closes so another one opens, and COVID and everything like that, and to lead me to my gym. And I'm just so happy. I'm so in love with my team. I love my professor and our coaches. I just, and then my professor, his name is Sean Huff, and his professor is Paul Nava, and another professor his name is Cashinho. But between the three of them, I just and my training partners that I have at their gyms too, I am so madly in fucking love with my team, with my affiliation, with jiu-jitsu, with everything. And it's just I've never, I guess I never thought it could be this good.
I can tell.
And it took some experimenting. Yeah, I know. I love them so much. So I would just I think that's my biggest piece of advice is there's so many gyms out there now. Like, don't go to the first one that you find. Don't go to the one that's closest to your house. Don't go, I mean, if you have a friend there, obviously you're going to gravitate more towards a place like that. But yeah, just get out there and explore and find that perfect place.
That was actually going to be my next question to you. Any advice for a first-time grappler?
Oh man, yes. Number one, obviously, like, have fun. Number two, learn how to tap. I feel like I could do a whole course in tapping 101. I feel like I'm going to design this too. On top of my cosmic jiu-jitsu, I'm going to design like a course on like a video that you can watch. Pop me in and learn this, because I think the first thing you need to learn is how to tap and to not be embarrassed of tapping. If you have to tap on somebody's ass, if you have to tap on their face, if you have to, like, no matter where you have to tap, you just tap, you know what I mean? Don't be afraid to like tap loud, like, don't be afraid to scream, tap, a lot of times when, like, if I'm being the dummy or whatever, and my professor taps me, we will yell like, tap. Don't be embarrassed to be loud about it, because like, you will get hurt.
Yeah.
And then like, don't worry about what you look like. Like, we all look so stupid. I mean, and now I still look stupid sometimes doing things. I go to other gyms. We don't do warm-ups at our gym. So it's been a long time since I had done warm-ups, and I'll go to another gym and completely forget, like, oh my God, I can't even remember, like, am I going to just completely like fall on my face trying to do a front roll? But and that's okay. You just go for it. You know what I mean? Just go for it, because I think at the end of the day, when you can just not worry about what you look like doing it, and just be okay to look like an ass, I don't know, you grow so much, and you have so much fun, and whatnot. But going in 100%, like, just with an open mind and an open heart is so important. And learn to tap. I can't stress that enough. Like, seriously.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I always forget when we have new students, and I always forget, like, oh yeah, hey, if something doesn't feel right, if it hurts, tap. If you're being choked and you feel like the room is starting to go dark, please tap.
You can tap with your foot. You can tap with, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're a student that ever works with, or a coach that ever works with new people, I feel like that's the number one thing. If you get somebody on their first day to really, really, stress that, because
I always stress teaching them how to fall, because many of people have fallen and broken their arms because they don't know how to break fall.
Oh yeah.
So I'm always very adamant about learning how to fall. But adults, especially when they come in, I'm always like, look, man, first thing I want to show you how to do is break fall and get comfortable with falling, because you're going to do a lot of it.
That takes a long time, though. I feel like, to get your body used to that impact. I love it. My professor also is a judo black belt, so we do a lot of judo. I beg for judo. I beg to be like thrown. I'm like, I'll be the volunteer. Like, you can flip me, throw me, slam me. Like, I love it. It's so fun. But it took me a long time. Like, I remember just hurting so bad, like your neck. Oh my God, like whiplash. You know what I mean? But it takes a long time. I feel like that takes so long to learn. Like,
it does. It does.
And well, again, it's just like doing it over and over and over and over, and your body gets used to it. But it is true. If you have to have somebody teach you how to do it the right way.
I've had some people come in, because under the old regime, students on their first day, they were working with me, and I would have some students, their first day, that's all we did was break fall, like, because I want them to understand that, if something happened, forward roll, making sure you're not rolling over on your head, and break fall properly, tucking your chin, smacking the mat. It wasn't just all that, but that was, the bulk of it. Like I would say 3/4. And then anything that coach told me to go over with them, like, hey, go over, the rear neck choke with them. Like, okay, I'll go over that with them, but I want to also go over falling. You guys need to know how to fall, because like, if you stick around and you're out here, somebody shoots a takedown on you, a double leg or a single leg even, don't just throw your arms back to catch yourself. Because I've seen a couple bad snaps, and it's like, come on. Like, don't you know? And even I did it the other day. Like, I told a new kid, like, he kept doing it. I was like, no, don't do that. And then when he went to run the pipe doing his single leg, I put my arm back like a dummy. I didn't get hurt, but I was like, I'm doing what I told you not to do. Sorry, I'm not a good example.
Yeah, it's like my professor telling me, remember, don't put your head outside. I'm like, duh. Of course I'm not going to do that. Like, who fucking does that shit? It's the first thing I do.
It's like that. Like, why the fuck would I ever do that? That's the dumbest thing ever.
That's fucking so stupid, man. I would never,
It's like, hey, what do you say not do? Head on the inside? Okay, I'll put it on the outside. Oh, shit. Why is the room getting dark?
Mm-hmm.
But no, that is, again, learning how to tap is excellent advice. Out of everyone that I've asked that's actually something no one's actually has ever said.
Really?
Which I'm shocked. Like, now that I'm thinking about it.
I'm telling you, that's going to be, how everyone, like all these really amazing people put out like instructionals. I'm going to put an instructional out on how to tap.
Yeah.
Watch. It's going to be a bestseller. People are going to buy it for their gyms. You just watch. And they're going to pop these new people in front of my video. And I'm going to educate them on how to tap before they go into class, because it's like important. I feel like I could do this. I feel like I could make this interesting and fun.
Again, it's definitely important. People, and because we've done it for so long, we think of it as like, nah, that's dumb. Who would do that? But no, you have to think back to day one, though, because I don't remember tapping.
Yeah, but I see this all the time too, and where they tap so gentle, like a baby tap, like, and I'm like, no, you need to be like pow pow, like they should almost sound like a break fall. You know what I mean? Like pow, pow.
Like, I tap the mat a lot, and when I tap the mat, that I'm tapping because I'm smacking the shit out of the mat.
Yeah.
So,
like, if you're gonna submit, you might as well go fucking 100% and like really call that submission out. Just be like.
Yeah, I want you to know. And it's funny because there have been times where my hand is up and I'm not like I'll hit their arm to kind of like defend whatever they're doing, and they'll let go. They're like, was that a tap? I was like, how I tap. And that's never been the way that I've ever tapped. Don't play this game. Or I'll tap with my foot. Or, sometimes I don't think I verbally tap a lot, but I have done it from time to time. So
I do. And you know what? That's from like my favorite training partner. He's this little brown belt we call Smoker Brian. And he's like, my professor calls him Gollum because he crawls like that. He does like the Gollum walk, and he's so funny though. But he does that, and he'll yell tap. His voice is just so loud and grovelly, and but it's just like he doesn't. I don't know. I love it. I love that. I love hearing that for some reason. So that's how I do it. You'll hear him from across the mat tap. But I don't know.
That's I think another thing that needs to be explained too. The verbal tap is okay. But I think that's all I've got today for us. We've been going for quite a bit of time here, so thank you again for doing this.
Though. I love talking to you. We have some fun conversations.
Yeah, like we got to a point I felt like where I was like, we're just talking. I was like, oh shit, we're actually doing a podcast. This isn't just regular conversation. Okay,
I know.
Which that's what podcasts are, though. They are conversations. So, like I feel like at some point I lost the structure and was just like, I just like talking. I just like
Yeah.
talking with you. So thank you. This has all been so much fun.
It's been so much fun. I know. I wish I could hug you right now, like the biggest hug, because
Virtual hugs.
Virtual hugs, and kisses.
You got
funny.
anything that you want to shout out, or any mentions or anything on your side?
Yeah. Oh, I just have to give like the biggest shout out and so much love to Aries just as a whole. I've had so much fun just growing this last year with them, and the opportunities have just been just so much fun to travel and get out. And of course, to my professor, Sean Huff, I love him so much, and just being so tolerant of me. I don't know. It's I'm a handful for sure, but also I just love I love him so much. I feel so lucky to have found him in North Side and my team. I'm just so happy. And to you, I'm so glad we met. This is like one of so I hated social media for a while, but I have to give it credit.
Too.
Yeah, I have to give it credit because I have some of the most amazing relationships that I never would have had because of social media, because of Instagram, and because of COVID, because I only got on Instagram during COVID because I had so much time and I gave it a chance. So I love you so much.
You too, Christina. Thank you. And I will admit that early on, when I first started chatting with you, I was very nervous. Like I felt like, because you've always been very nice. You've always been very just, upfront about everything. But I've also, like in the beginning, felt like I'm going to say something that's going to really piss her off. And she's just going to done. Don't want to talk to this guy anymore. You're an asshole. So I was always very calculated in how I messaged you and spoke with you. And then once we started opening up, I was like, okay, I feel extremely comfortable with her.
Yeah,
and I think she feels comfortable with me. So it's like, okay, now I don't have to be worried anymore. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome. I know people's expectations of me are so interesting. I like hearing what people think in the beginning because I'm always, I don't know. It's so fun because I'm not what anybody ever expects. I think I'm so open-minded. I'm so just there's, like you said, there's nothing that anyone can tell me where I'm like, I mean, it just is really hard to surprise me or offend me. Like I'm just not offended pretty much by anything.
I think that's an important trait too.
Yeah.
We also share in common.
Yes. So. Yes. Yeah. That's why we have the best conversations for sure.
But thank you again so much for doing this. Got to do it again.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I'm in.
Because I felt like, okay, we really talked about, jiu-jitsu and, just kind of the beginnings for both of us and just growing with it. Now it's like, okay, now let's just get on here and just regular conversation, regular, have a regular conversation and converse as if we're old friends, keeping jiu-jitsu peppered in there because I don't know who tunes in and why they tune in. So I don't there's some episodes that are jiu-jitsu based and they do very well. And there's some that are comic book based that do very well. And then I'm just like, look, man, I don't know who's listening.
What is Colompton? What is that base?
So Colompton is more of, we still don't really know, to be honest. Every episode I open it with just a bizarre question to kind of make my co-host uncomfortable.
Oh, fun.
I started off episode 1. I asked him what's his guilty pleasure. And I knew right away, the way that he responded, he didn't want to answer that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're giving me an answer today, bitch.
I have I would just be like, I don't know. Do you want a list? Can I make you a list?
Well, he goes, what's yours? And I told him mine. He was like, that's dumb. I was like, no, I mean, it's not though. That's what I like. But it's like, we like to have fun. It's just like he and I are two friends. We've been friends for 30 years and we wanted to just, he was on Off the Mats episode 7 with me and we decided, let's get together and just do a show, see where it goes. And right now we're 7 episodes in. Episode 8's coming out tomorrow. But no, it's really just kind of the base for that is really just a lot of MMA, a lot of boxing. We talk sports and really just general life. Like this last episode, we talked a lot about, because Father's Day had just passed. So we talked about fatherhood. He's not a father, but, more so from my perspective, and just, his dad growing up. So that podcast is kind of all over the place, almost kind of like this. This is all over the place, but the base is jiu-jitsu.
It's jiu-jitsu.
So,
I love that. I love it. I'm so excited.
I try to keep it jiu-jitsu at least, but like we'll see where it goes next episode. I'm not even sure who the next guest is, but even with mentioning of Colompton, thank you for that, because that's my shout out here.
I know, I love it.
I
got you.
Big shout out to the Colompton Social Club. It's a new podcast I'm working on with my buddy Steve. Go check it out on Instagram. The episodes come out every Tuesday on Spotify. I like to put that in the stories and link that as well to my Instagram. Be on the lookout for that. If y'all got any questions, concerns, feel free to reach out to me, bjj.wiki on Instagram, or Off the Mats Podcast on Instagram. Also, big shout out to Zach over at Student BJJ. As mentioned before, he has been working on an app called Champions Keep Score, and he is fully funded now. So we should be, start seeing some big traction on that with the beta coming out soon. So I'm excited. Also, another shout out to Nerd Rage Radio. Love those guys over there. That's where I got my start. Bobby, Joe, Pinkerton, all you guys. Thank you so much for everything you guys do. And thank you, everyone. I love you all. You all keep listening, and I'm going to keep making these episodes. Thank you all. Good night. Bye. Good night.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.